What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Hope everyone is doing well today. And me, how am I doing? Thanks so much for asking, man. I'm doing awesome. I'm doing great because brand new Loathe has dropped with the track Dimorphous Display. Holy crap, I'm super pumped for this, man, because first of all, between you and I really like these guys. Really like them. Second of all, their last album, I let it in and took everything. I gave it a perfect 10 out of 10.
It's one of the best general albums I've heard in years. And for the score, I give it a 10 out of 10.
Oh, good old Shy Bird, man. Even had a cut under my eye too. But, you know, I was thinking, is 10 out of 10 too much? But over time, I realized, like, no, that album definitely deserves the 10 out of 10. You know, in my best albums of 2020, it was my #1 winner. So, and I really don't give out too many 10 out of 10s. I'm trying to think, like, albums that I would are like Thrice Visu, Refuse, The Shape of Punk to Come, Between the Bear and Me, Colors. Like, those are pretty much it. And Loathe is up there, man. So let's see if this new track will hold up to what they left off with their last record. I cannot wait for this. Already too much chit chat, so let's fuck do it. All right, before we get started, it looks like this is a collaboration project, and this track is collaborated with producer Eddie Al-Shakarshi. Let's check it out. 3, 2, 1, go. No visualizer, no music video yet. Just a static image. So going for those cinematic sounds from like David Lynch and stuff, right? And Akira Yamaoka. Okay. Electronic drums working with it. Cool timings. Ooh. Oh. Production is really very interesting. Jesus Christ, dude. Cool, okay. This is super experimental. I knew they were going to be experimental, but this is a lot, man. Holy crap, this song is super busy. Arpeggio keys. Going for that Blade Runner-esque type of sound again. That's my thinking face. There's a lot to dissect here, man. So yeah, let's talk about it. Yeah, all right. So that was definitely different, eh? You know, going into this, I knew that the band was going towards a more experimental approach with their songwriting, and it's cool that they're pushing boundaries of, you know, what the scene can be. Even if you want to call this metalcore, it doesn't seem to be right. It's too experimental for that, but it's cool that they're pushing themselves as musicians to try things that are outside the norm, right? So, you know, I got to give them credit where it's due. All that being said, I'm having a hard time really enjoying this song for the fun factor. So let's go through the pros and cons to dissect it a little bit more. So number one pro is, like I said, the experimentation. I think it's so crucial, especially in this very convoluted metalcore scene where every band sounds like the same gent metalcore band with like poppy choruses and the same kind of build-ups to breakdowns. It gets very redundant. And that's why Loathe was such a breath of fresh air to the scene, right? And that's why I put that album, their last album, in such high regard. But with this, like, you know, it's very experimental. Like, the structure of the song is very like incomprehensive. Like, they do have a chorus, but to get to those choruses, they really do some weird structure moments to really get to it. Even like little subtle variations with like some like atmosphere sounds that kick back in the second verse and stuff. It's just like weird stuff like that. So structurally, this song is really cool. So that's going to be a pro number two, is that I really appreciate what they're doing structure wise with this song. You know, like I said, lots of tweaks and variations, lots of weird things going on. They did have a repeated chorus, which was nice too. So structurally, very cool. Another pro is actually, like, you know, the production on this was really weird. And I'm going to say this as a pro, and it could be a con as well. So I guess the first part of this, I think it's cool that they're experimenting with like drum sounds and, you know, using an electronic drum kit to have that bassy thump kick, right? Definitely a much different sound than, you know, what they've been doing previously with like, you know, a real drum kit. Well, maybe they're doing this on a drum pad, right? I don't know, but it's definitely different and weird sound wise. Also the production on this, like, you know, some of the cymbal work and like hi-hats and chinas or whatever were all like really coming through a little bit, like very rough around the edges, and I think it was intentional. I just don't know how much I loved it. But yeah, so all that being said, let's move on to the cons. And I guess my cons with this is that I really didn't have the fun factor with this song. You know, there's a fine line of experimentation, you know, like to see how far a band can go, and like, but at the same time, when it gets a little bit too experimental, it gets a little bit too avant-garde, and it loses, like, you know, the comprehension of like the song's flow and everything. And it feels a little bit more jaded and not as enjoyable. And, you know, I think Radiohead is a very good band in terms of experimentation, but still having like song structures that still like flow and everything. I feel like their ideas build upon each other, but I feel like this was a little bit more of a jumbled mess, and I really don't know how much I enjoyed it. So with all that being said, like, sure, you can say that this is avant-garde, this is experimental and all that stuff, but like I just said, I just didn't find the fun factor in this track. It's not something I can really go back to quite a bit. All right, my second con is kind of like touching on what I was already talking about, but, you know, when it's getting a little bit too experimental, it gets a little too busy. And I felt like there was a lot of ideas working in this song that just was a little bit too much. Like, even for the ending, the outro of the song, you know, it was fading out, but they still used that key arpeggio line. And then also added some Blade Runner-esque kind of sounds too, with the deep, heavy synth. And it just seemed like it was like a little bit overkill. It was like a little bit too much. And I was like literally just talking about it in my last reaction, but less is more. And I feel like this wasn't the case at all. It felt very busy and experimental. So because of all those things, I really didn't enjoy this track, unfortunately, man. But you know, like, Loathe is such a cool band, and like I said, I let it in and took everything. It's a 10 out of 10. And I know that the band wants to be experimental. I'm just saying that there is a fine line of like enjoyment and being too experimental, and I just did not find the enjoyment with this track. But I'm very curious to hear, like, you know, their upcoming single, because I think January 20th is going to be the next song that they release for this collaboration project. So yeah, you know, this is a collaborative project. It's not really, doesn't seem like a full LP. I'm not too sure, but that's kind of like the information that I got. So if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments down below. But guys, that's my thoughts on Loathe's new track. I'm curious to know what your thoughts are, so comment down below, spice up my life. What'd you guys think of this tune? I'd love to know the comments on this one. You know, I really appreciate experimental music, avant-garde kind of music. I really like what Loathe is bringing to the scene. So that's why I'm really curious to see the discussion in the comments. But also, if you've gotten to this point in the video and haven't clicked off yet, then I appreciate the shit out of you, man. Feel free to hit that subscribe button. Feel free to leave a like if you enjoyed the video. But on that, thank you for tuning in. Till next time. Peace.